their money to send their kids off to get a better education, because then they'll be set for life. So a lot of people perceive that they're all rich. Well, there are some rich, but there's some really poor ones that are coming in here where parents are just saying, everything for my child. So it's a mix. Yeah. And maybe they'll be sending them out here so they might get Australian residency. And then once they've got Australian residency, they're out of the poverty trap of whatever they're in. So that's we did some research around that as well. There's some stuff. We did some stuff around boarding houses and rooming houses, and that came out of the experiences of the soup vans. We've got soup vans, which lots of students mainly volunteer on soup vans.
Yeah. We've been trying to we have been trying to get volunteer work.
Yeah,
we've
been trying to volunteer.
Now.
We
can't find any way to do it.
It's really
hard. We've got a volunteer coordinator. Just call us. We've got a person who will match you to volunteering that works for you.
Yeah,
If there's something that we do that you want.
We're going to do that because you came on our podcast. We're going to volunteer for Vinnie's, because it's silly, because we contacted a number of people just through websites and wherever, and they're like, sorry, booked out, no, can't have you, this and that. We're just trying to help.
Booked out. It's like you have to apply and prove
have
to
be
them
lucky enough
to
come in and help.
And I said,
you're always looking for volunteers?
Yeah, always. There's always, there's options. Sometimes there's a long wait. Like soup vans do have a long wait. They're really popular. And a lot of...
That would be interesting, actually.
Yeah. Soup vans are good. I've done a couple of, the vannies, as we call them, the vannies.
We'd love to do that.
There's soup van, CBD, there's one in Fitzroy, there's one in Footscray, over in Scray. There's one up Moe, but vans takes a while to get onto vans. As I said, they're very popular, particularly with uni students. Because you go out in the van and then they'll meet down the pub afterwards and have a chit chat about what they saw and all that sort of stuff.
Great. So I said to Sean, instead of just trying to find an organisation that can tell us what to do and get us to do what they want, let's just create our own little volunteer organisation, and we'll just make some sandwiches, go and give
them to homeless people.
Or go and talk to people who look like they're lonely or something like that. We can.
And again,
are we allowed to do that? We're going to get in trouble. Did you have a permit to help us?
But you could actually say you're doing it now, because you're actually having a conversation on the podcast, which is raising issues.
That's right.
So you're already doing it.
We're very interested in getting in contact with people, because we both like people. We like people.
We got that going for us.
Because I'm really interested in the whole social work thing.
Okay,
but it's so hard to get into. I've applied for lots of jobs, and I'm just looking at the qualifications that they require, and it's just simply you need a 4-year bachelor's degree in social work or something like that, and I don't have that, but I feel like I could definitely help and do that job. So I feel a bit
cheated. Look at maybe wander down to Sacred Heart Mission. Like that's this is around the corner from where you are. Go down to Sacred Heart. That's a meal service.
It's a good cafe. They make nice food.
Yeah, they take volunteers. They always need volunteers and all that sort of stuff. So there's St Mary's House of Welcome over in Brunswick Street.
Sure.
Which is another one like that, which is very folksy. That's pretty cool. Local community information centres are always looking for volunteers. CABs. So there's lots of places. It's just knowing where.
That's it.
Yeah.
Now we're doing a bit of research. We definitely.
And what works for you? It's about what works for you as well.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it definitely is. Otherwise, you won't have any volunteers. You need to fit into the volunteer's life, really.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But
you just knock on doors and just say, I want to be more involved.
Okay.
So,
I want to be more involved.
I want to be more involved, and so if I want to volunteer, people will hear somebody. But if you say, "Hey, look, I really like what's going on here. I want to be more involved."
Right.
So language becomes a story. One of the things that frustrates us, for example, one of the things that frustrates us is around Christmas time. We'll get all these big corporates, like big brands, banks, and stuff like that. Will say, "All our senior managers want to feed homeless people."
Oh, fuck.
And we sort of say, well, look, that's really nice, but it's,
it's not coming from the heart, guys.
Well,
that's for sure.
It may, but we're sort of saying, well, look, we're happy to have an ongoing relationship with you and your senior management, and we're happy to do that. That'd be really cool. But you just can't pop in each Christmas time.
Whenever you feel like it's just to create your image.
For the feel-good factor, we understand why you're doing it. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but you've got to understand that everybody's doing that at the same time, and we literally can't cope with it. But so if you're just there, so we've just entered into a partnership with a couple of big companies.
That's good.
With their staff and their staff giving programs. So companies do have those things. So it's up for the staff. They might think, yeah, look, I'd really like to be involved with St Vincent de Paul or the Salvation Army or the Smith family or the Cancer Society or whatever it is. And so the company provides conduits for people to staff give. So maybe where you're working, they probably do have a staff giving program. And if they don't, maybe that's the way you get active and involved and saying, well, why doesn't the council have something like that? Because I'd like to be involved in it. You're actually supporting, you're a council, you support the local community. The council should know.
Yeah, they should know, shouldn't they?
I'm sure they
really,
would.
if anyone knows that. If I had this question, I would be going to the council.
But
I'm trying, there's this job going on in youth services I want to go for, so I'm going to try and actually weasel my way into youth services.
You're a brave person.
Really?
Youth workers have lots of, they have all my admiration. It's
really?
Yeah, youth workers have a special talent and a special, it's a challenging but very rewarding job, but it's not a job for me.
What makes it so different and challenging compared to other social work?
The youth factor?
Youth issues are pretty, you've got young people that are in really tough situations that haven't got a lot of life experience. That doesn't mean it just makes it more challenging. And also that they feel isolated and nobody really does understand their situation, and you mix that in with a whole lot of, drink, drugs and anything else that's going around, it can get pretty challenging. And because they came together, they've got their club. It just means it's hard how to break out of it. And as you said, it's a 4-year bachelor degree. It's going to take me forever to do that. And that's that. So what do I do in the meantime? Blah blah blah. So youth workers, respect. Big respect.
Alright, maybe. No, I definitely sounds enticing. I still wasn't going to do it, but maybe I need to go and get a bachelor's degree. I'm not going to do that. Fuck that.
You've already been in it for it.
I want to get a drink. Do you want a drink?
No, I'm good.
So I'm wondering, in relation to, let's say, so Vinnie gets its income from the shops and
donations.
And donations. So if you can say what sort of ratio are we talking about from the donations to the shops to the how reliant are you on from the donations to make sure that they keep coming into the shops? Or
look, there's always pressure on fundraising.
Yeah, sure.
To keep delivering the services that people expect of us. And also to meet future demand and things like that.
Sure.
So, and it changes. You'll find that with annual reports for all the charities, they all have to put out annual reports. And in those annual reports, it'll actually list the proportion of where the donations come from, what they spend it on. There's a new charity commission being set up federally, which then is about accountability and reportability. So transparency is really important.
Do you know much about charities in general, like not just yours, but the non-for-profit concept throughout all charities, and whether or not it actually works, and perhaps the bigger the organisation gets, is it the less chance there is of it being non-for-profit and wasteful money avenues and all that?
Well, I think we know that's a question that in people donating either their time, volunteering, or their resources, they need to consider that sort of thing about whether it works for them. So for us, because we're very volunteer based, we don't have a lot of staff, but we have lots of volunteers. Our on costs are quite low. Right. Whereas others that might have the need for a lot of staff, because they all need social workers, which means you've got to pay social workers. They don't just volunteer 40 hours a week. So they have very different cost structures as well. Sure. And there's some profits. There are some for-profits that appear to be not-for-profits or dress up as.
Is World Vision, for example, are they non-for-profit?
That's international aid. That's a whole different kettle of fish.
I
don't know about
that's
that.
What I meant, sort of about big ones like that.
Would you like to speculate on it? No, I'm joking.
No, not at all. But again, I mean, and that's where, look, I have a preferred charity that I donate to. I donate. I volunteer my time for the Vinnies, I donate that way, but I actually donate financial resources to the Heart Research Foundation. So most people do have a preferred charity that they either want to donate financial resources to or donate their time to, and it's about getting the match. So for some people the Vinnies would work, for others it wouldn't. And so, if anybody who's interested, you sort of find out something that works, matches well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's really important because they both have to be happy. Like the volunteer has to want to do it. That's the whole point. you have to feel good about doing what you're doing. Otherwise, it's not going to be a long-lasting relationship.
And it's got to fit with your values as well. You know, like so you know, if you want to get into homelessness, I mean, there's some organisations that do it and some don't. And so and then some organisations would do it in particular ways. So you got to, you know, if there's philosophical and other values, other values are in there as well.
We're very interested in having a person on our podcast who can tell us about their own experiences with being disadvantaged, or who are from a different sort of walk of life that, you know, perhaps they have some light to shed on their experiences with other people. So whether or not they might be homeless, or do you think that's something that we can do? Like, would someone want to do that?
What I'd do is I'd go down and if it was me as a researcher, I'd go down and I'd put $6 in somebody's hand that was selling a big issue, and I'd say, you know, can I take you out for lunch? I'd really like to hear your story and put it on a podcast.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to do, and that's what our plan was. We're going to go actually going to take this recorder down portably. We're going to go down to the CBD and just take some sandwiches in a backpack and just go and chat with the people around there.
Take them out for a meal. When we were interviewing the impoverished international students, I'd take them out and say, look, what's your favourite restaurant? So there was this
meal. I'd love to do that.
This person from Singapore who hadn't had decent Singapore food, couldn't afford to go to the one Singaporeese restaurant, which was really cheap. I said, I'll take you out for lunch. Tell us about it. So it cost me like $20. I found the best Singapore restaurant in Melbourne, allegedly. I got all this, and this person was just so grateful because they hadn't been out, and I got to hear their story, which was great. So it's all about how you engage.
Yeah,
definitely.
With respect and dignity, and
definitely.
just say
we want to make them feel like important, you know, and
because they are.
But I'm just
make them feel normal.
I'm sure that they're used to having people look at them funny. You know, we don't want that. There's
a thing we say in the Vinnies, which is they're all just normal people in very unusual situations. And that the situations they're in are really challenging. And so, you know, the big issue people, whoever you end up talking to, you might find one of them was the CEO of a company, and you might find...
we've got some interesting stories. That calendar over there is a big issue calendar. When we were thinking of contacting some of the people who write into there, did we actually contact any big issue people?
No, I did. Yeah, I sent one off. We haven't got one.
But you're right.
Face to face.
That always seems to be.
Conversations over food always work really well.
Yeah, right. Well, let's do that. That's
definitely.
Good. My sister really wants me to ask you this question. She drives her car underneath the bridge on the corner of Dandenong and Chapel. You know where they cross, and there's the underpass for the Dandenong Road, and it turns into Queens Road, sorry. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's right near the Shell service station. And then yeah. So underneath that bridge, she said that she'd drive past there every morning, and every day sort of she'd see this man who was homeless, and he would have his little house structure under there. And every sort of maybe, you know, as time went on, Lexi would drive past, and the man would have made it more of a home. So he might have put, you know, a bed there, or like some paintings or something like that. And it got to the point where this was full on like home there, and it was she loved watching him. And she was that close to going. She wanted to do something so bad for this guy. She was going to go and give him a doormat, like a welcome mat, for his little home. And she said she really regrets not doing it. But then, not long after that, she found that he'd been kicked out and he was gone. And she was really sad. But I think then she spoke to someone else about it recently, and they said that he's still in the area, but he's relocated somewhere. I was wondering if you know about him.
No.
Do you know about him?
I don't know about him, but...
have you heard of him? You haven't heard of him?
No, there's many of them.
Okay,
so for example, if you go into the Flagstaff Gardens, Treasury Gardens, there's a group of homeless people that live in an old zone substation. There's this thing that looks like a building in there, but they're all camped in around there. You'll find a lot over in Footscray, where there's digs that they stay at.
Digs, what's a dig?
It's a UK word for a house. Digs, that's where their digs is.
In Footscray by the river, there are some places on the river there.
Underneath bridges and stuff like that. So some people living rough, that's how they do it. For example, last winter where I was at the CEO sleep out, each year we do the CEO sleep out, and I was walking home.
CEO sleep out, wow.
So we get CEOs to sleep out.
That'd be a sight, wouldn't it?
On cardboard, and they bring their own sleeping bag and they have to sleep out on the cardboard. And so they donate their money, and
that's brilliant.
That is really cool.
So anyway, I was coming home from the CEO sleep out, and I left them at 11 o'clock at night. It was a freezing cold, wet night, and I'm walking home, and I'm walking home, and there was this homeless person that was up top of Flagstaff Gardens, and like your sister, I just thought, no, this is not right. So I walked back to where the CEO sleep out was, acquired they get gear for the night, sort of like zip-up jackets and hats.